Yeah, Abhijith, am I audible to all of you? Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir. Hello,
You
sir.
can turn off the video.
Okay, sir.
Turn off the video.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, have you gone through the paper?
Yes, sir.
How do
I
you
did,
feel
sir.
now? How do you feel?
A bit positive, sir.
Is it positive?
Uh,
I felt it is slightly negative when it comes to that paper. What I'll do is I will not be discussing the answers here because anyway it is given to you as PDF. I hope you have gone through that PDFs which I have
Yes,
given
sir.
you. That is there. Okay, so everything is covered there, but not in the order. Everything, every questions and answers in the test which is covered over there. So just go through all the PDF. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now we will just go through the paper and see what actually happened. The other papers, Abhijit, give me some time. A lot of other papers are pending. I'll be doing it in 1 week. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So can you just tell me what is the first question which you have attempted? Like whatever questions you have attempted and whatever doubts you have, you just ask me rather than the answers.
Yes. Sir, यहाँ पे there नहीं लिखना चाहिए क्या?
No, don't write their features. Features of ideal types, right? It has to be professional. It is not their features and then their use. No. It should be use of ideal types. It should be limitations of ideal types. It should be professional. You should not write like this.
Okay, sir.
Features. I have to assume that you are writing ideal types, or you should be telling me that I'm writing ideal types. What is supposed to be done?
Okay, sir.
Will it hurt my ego or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, obviously, right? I'll
Yes,
think that what this guy is all about. Do I need to assume that you are writing ideal types and I need to give you mark? No, I'm not going to do that. Okay,
Yes,
so you have to tell me that it is the features of ideal types. Their features, whose features? Okay,
sir.
Again, these are supposed to be objectively drawn, but it is not necessarily objectively drawn because when you are taking the ideal types, these are mostly becoming subjective that you have written anyway in the criticism, but don't write completely as objectively drawn. Okay. And then one-sided exaggerations. These are not exaggerations. These are regularities. Regularities and exaggerations are different. I don't know where you have read this. When you have attended some classes, you might have come across this, but I'm not sure about that.
Essential sociology books, sir.
When you're writing ideal types, you should be writing ideal types are the regularities. These are not exaggerations. Exaggerations, abstractions are all different. Even if you're writing abstractions, it's okay. Okay.
Abstractions.
These are regularities.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Otherwise, it's okay. It's a very simple question, and you should be getting, Abhijith, you should be getting 6 to 7 mark in these kind of questions. Okay, because this part is very much problematic. You have not explained what exactly is ideal type. You should be talking about who gave the concept. That anyway you have mentioned Max Weber. Okay, and why he gave the concept in order to study a phenomena objectively. And then he has given this method and he have demonstrated this and then explain what is ideal types. Ideal types are the regularities which will help in identifying the social reality. So this sentence, their combination may yield the true picture. That is okay. But when you're writing their combination may yield the true picture, you also need to tell that the individual elements are meaningless. Then only the combination will give you the true picture become valid. Okay. Okay,
sir. Sir, question bullet point में लिखूं या paragraph form में लिखूं?
These questions, when you have a lot of content, you write in bullet points. This is okay because you need to highlight different areas there, the features and the use and the limitations and everything. But normally it is better to write in paragraph when it comes to sociology. But when you have these kind of questions, ideal types, then these kind of pattern variables, these kind of questions, if you have a lot of content, right? So to present that, it should be better to write in bullet points. But when you're writing in bullet points, you will not get that sociology flavor. That is very important when it comes to this paper. So that is why
paragraph
it's always better to go with paragraph. Yeah. And I have mentioned somewhere, when you're writing in bullet point, your weakness is completely exposed.
Yes, sir.
Even in this question also, that you're completely, that is exposed when you're writing in bullet point. That's a big problem. And I'm expecting that you're supposed to be strong in thinkers, and that's the reason why I've evaluated your paper in thinkers first, so that I'll get that clue whether how is it going on.
Sir, मेरा पढ़ाई ठीक ठाक तो है क्या sir? मतलब
it's okay, but even this ideal type, I'm not satisfied with the way you have presented. You just go through the PDF that I've given to you.
यस सर, मैंने एक्चुअली ये मेरा मतलब फर्स्ट ही
Hmm.
पेपर था जो मैंने ऐसा मतलब अटेम्प्ट किया है, सो सर
It's okay. It's okay. Do it.
सर बाय द एंड ऑफ मतलब
These are good points, but rather than writing like these four, some guides and the books will show you like this to make you
यस सर,
easily understand. But better you write in a professional way. I don't consider these are better we can write in different way. Even bullet point will also be
पैराग्राफ
good.
अच्छा रहेगा सर.
Paragraph will be good. Bullet point will also be good in this case.
ओके
This
सर.
is okay. Examples of ideal type, but when you're writing example, you need to mention what kind of example. For example, I think
Okay,
somewhere
sir.
you have mentioned about historical particulars, right? Use
Yes, sir.
somewhere you mentioned. No, use to measure past events. So you can even here as an example for this, you can talk about Protestant ethic and spirit of capitalism. He used the concept of ideal type. Like that, you can mention as an example.
मतलब जैसे क्वेश्चन लिख रहा हूँ तब वहां पे एग्जांपल
Some
देते हैं जो
points which you have
सेपरेटली
written,
नहीं.
based on that you can write example. That will be better. These are random examples which you have written. Anyway, it's okay. Okay. And once you have written this example, you also need to tell that these are ideal types of social action. The actual action can be understood by combining these ideal types or comparing with these ideal types. The pure form may or may not exist. That's all about ideal type, right?
ओके सर.
Bring in those everything together, but it takes time and effort also. But you have to mention it somewhere or somehow in your answer, even if it is 10 marker. But Abhijit, I expect these are questions where you should be getting 6 to 7 mark. People get 7 mark, and easily 7 mark you can get here. These are
सर
actually
मैं
7 markers.
जब मैं इसमें लिखता हूँ ना सर, मैं जब पैराग्राफ फॉर्म में लिखता हूँ मेरा आंसर अच्छा होता है. जैसे मैंने अभी एक GS1 का टेस्ट लिखा इसका विजन का.
GS you write in bullet point, no problem.
ओके सर.
GS is okay, bullet point is fine, but GS is actually you'll be facing a lot of problem because you don't have much content when it comes to GS. Sociology you have content, but
Yes.
you can write in bullet point actually. But the better way to present in sociology is, have you ever seen any sociologists writing in bullet points?
No
right?
सर, मुझे
No, you
पैराग्राफ
will
पे
not
अच्छा
find
लग रहा है.
anyone who's writing in bullet points. So no one will actually like it. But if you have more and more content, ideal
कोई
types
क्वेश्चन जैसे
a
ये
lot.
क्वेश्चन आइडियल टाइप.
These questions, you have a lot of content. I see.
Yes,
You just
sir,
go
yes,
through
sir.
that PDF. It's a beautifully prepared PDF, and I just want you to mug it up and reproduce the same.
Okay, sir.
Okay, but this is okay. But the score is not satisfying. This question. What is the second one? Anomy, right?
Yes, sir.
Anomy or manifest and latent function. Second question, I think it's manifest latent function. Okay. Yeah, this is good, but the problem is, now here you just need to, manifest as intended functions, okay? And then subjective predisposition, just complete it. You have mentioned here objective manifestation, right? Objective manifestation. So same way, these are subjective. What subjective? They are subjective. Subjective predispositions of actors. Means actor's intention. Now, I also want one more point to be added here. When it comes to manifest function, you also write from the point of view of methodology. Okay, it have an element of non-positivism. Why? Because it is the intention of the actor. It is the internal dimension of the actor. It is the meanings attached by the actor to the action. Actor want this to happen. So the meaning of the actor is this.
Important.
So actor know this will happen. So that line is very important. That's why it is individual function. The other one is societal function. So you can talk about intended function, unintended function, subjective predisposition, objective manifestation, non-positivism, positivism, individual function, societal function. All these dimensions has to be brought in. The examples are good. These are common examples. Everyone will write this. But why don't you write something, like corruption? There are functions and
current related.
Something like that. You write this.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
मैं से examples सभी collect
because you have studied everywhere. It is there, so everyone will write the same. But along with this, you can maybe write one more.
Okay, sir.
If you want to be on a safer side. But what I want you to do is this one. People will miss this because they have asked about manifest and latent function. But Merton is giving more importance to dysfunction in his concepts.
Yes, sir.
Right. So it is actually, Merton is not interested in talking about manifest and latent function. He is interested in talking about unintended consequences, intended and unintended consequences. Consequences can be function as well as dysfunction.
Okay, sir.
There are manifest function, latent function, manifest dysfunction, latent dysfunction. I have never seen you talking about any word dysfunction here.
Yes, sir.
Your
नहीं
answer
किया
is perfect if it is only about function, but even if the question is about function, you need to mention about this function. If you would have done that, this would have fetched around 6 to 7 mark. Otherwise, it's okay. And Abhijit, these are the questions where you should be, capital. You have to capitalize on these questions. If you miss this, then you're gone.
Okay, sir.
Okay. What is this one? This question D. I think you have missed one. C.
Sir, मैंने directly
That universal. This Parsons evolutionary universals. Okay, you just read that in the PDF.
सर वो क्या हुआ, मैंने पेपर डायरेक्टली मोबाइल पे देख के सॉल्व किया था, तो मेरे पास हार्ड कॉपी नहीं है, सॉरी.
It's okay. I'll just take it. Legal rational authority. It's a very simple question. First, you define authority. You have mentioned somewhere here, but in the beginning you
ऊपर
mentioned
करना चाहिए था ये
what
मैंने.
is power, what is power,
Yes,
and then
sir.
tell that legitimate power is authority. Just
Sir,
start with
मैंने
power, because when it comes to this traditional authority, like legal rational authority alone, you will be facing some problem with the content. So talk about power. From power, authority is derived. What is that authority? Legitimate power. So you have mentioned about these two, and then talk about the ideal types. Not just don't tell 3 types. This is not professional. You need to tell the 3 ideal types of authority. Before you mentioned it as example of ideal type. Now also you need to tell that these are ideal types, and then talk about rational legal authority. Then you can talk about the combination.
डेफिनेशन पहले ऊपर आनी चाहिए, और ये मैंने गलती की, मतलब बहुत, ये पूरे पेपर में ये गलती की है, तीनों पेपर में जो मैंने अब तक दिए.
Yeah, this is fine. Yeah, Nehru rules. Okay, that means a combination, right? It can be
Yes,
legal
sir.
rational authority. It can be traditional also.
ट्रेडिशनल.
Now you can also talk about legal rational authority and charismatic authority combination. Nehru, it is not only legal rational authority because of his charisma also, right?
Charisma.
Even
Yes.
Hitler also you can mention because of his charisma, but later legal rational authority, you can write that as an example. Then traditional combination with legal rational authority examples also you can write. Okay.
Okay, sir.
The monarch and everything. The combination, even though question is asked only on this legal rational authority, write the combinations. It can be charismatic plus legal rational. It can be traditional plus legal rational. Talk about Nehru.
Question जो पूछे उसके beyond obviously लिखना है.
You need to go beyond that.
Okay.
Everybody will stick to that, but we have to go beyond that. Organic mechanical solidarity, it is simple, but write in paragraph. Just don't write this in like this bullet points.
Okay,
better
sir.
write traditional. Durkheim conceptualized a traditional society in this way, in this form, like that you mentioned, and then talk about organic solidarity.
Okay, sir. मतलब ऐसा लिखना इससे अच्छा यही रहेगा ना सर, मतलब पैराग्राफ, ये
paragraph will be better in these questions.
Okay, sir.
Also, if you want, you can even compare with Parsons' concept of pattern variable, this ascription achievement, this or traditional society and modern society, right? Traditional society that Durkheim was talking about, which is with solidarity, mechanical solidarity, that is what Parson is talking in terms of ascriptive society, right? Ascription. Okay. And then when he's talking about organic solidarity, that is what Parson is mentioning in terms of achievement oriented. So ascription versus achievement. Similarly, you can also talk about specificity, diffuseness, and all these things. You can even compare it with Parson as well, if you want.
Okay.
Okay. It is the same only. Both are same. The long answers are quite better compared to the previous ones. And you can show the diagram in which the process of the class struggle. I have shown the diagram which you can actually draw here. And then why it is fast revolution you can show, because the erstwhile.
Oh, that diagram, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you can draw.
Yes, sir.
Here, limitations, rather than just writing these as a limitation, use the thinkers to criticize whether Weber in terms of class and then Dahrendorf. These criticisms I have given to you, just use the thinkers.
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, it's a good one.
सर थिंकर्स के नाम मतलब लिमिटेशंस में 2 थिंकर्स के भी नाम आए.
2-3 thinkers you can, one or two will be fine. These two are the best ones to write here in this when it comes to class, Dahrendorf and Weber. That's why
Yes,
I've mentioned these two. Otherwise, you see the PDF, I have given n number of examples, but you can't remember all. No need to remember all of
पर
those.
2 तो आने चाहिए, मतलब
At least two
अच्छा
should
इम्पैक्ट
come.
पड़ता है बहुत.
Because when Marx is asked, you need to talk at least about other two thinkers.
Yes, sir.
That has to be done.
2 thinkers at least.
That you just note it down, okay? All these points.
Yes, sir. I'm writing.
Because that is very important.
I'm writing, sir.
This definition, Abhijith, when it comes to the definition, we have hardly few definitions, right? Especially in thinkers. Just remember it properly. Social facts are the ways of acting, thinking, feeling, which is external to individual and endowed with the power of coercion by the reason of which they control over him, right? So just write the same definition and then talk about the features. Again, you see their features.
Yes, sir. I have made
right? Externality, generality. These are not objective reality. There is something different. Independence, coercion, and all those. Constraint. That's what you need to write as the features. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Not like this. This is exposing yourself. You're exposing yourself because you don't know what is this. So don't do that. Just write something in paragraph then. Why you are just jumping onto the question just to just for the namesake, don't do this. You write something, then they will feel that you have written for the explanation for this. That is better because this is clearly exposing yourself. You just tell that you see the rules of you have not even mentioned about that. There is something like rules to study social facts. You remember there are 4 rules: rules of observation, rules of classification, rules of distinction, and rules of explanation. That is how he is trying to create a separate niche in sociology, right? Especially when it comes to rules of observation, he's saying that you have to observe social phenomena as the social facts as things. And that shows his concern for objectivity. That exposes positivist nature, and he wanted to make it similar to natural science and shows his concern for objectivity. So he wanted to make it similar to natural science and on the positivist principles. And even though it is difficult to consider social facts like religion, family, and all these as things, but he says that it is difficult but not impossible. And he's giving some concepts like collective representation, objective manifestation of these things, which will establish the presence of social fact. And you have to study that objectively. And for that, further he's talking about rules of classification, rules of distinction, normal and pathological form, rules of explanation in terms of objective theories, causal functional explanation. Why you have missed all these things? How someone is going to give you mark without? That is what you mean by the separate niche. When you're writing this one line, you have exposed yourself and you've gone here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the manifestation is coming here, but this is not enough, Abhijith. This is not enough. This is example. All these are study of these are social facts only. Rules to study social facts is what is required, but you actually won't get this 10 mark in your actual paper because of these examples and all these things. Something which you have written only. The 10 mark is given, but when it comes to this part, you have to mention the way I have explained here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is the one you need to write, explain. That answer is worth 7-8 mark only. 7-8 mark is something which you should be getting for 10 marker.
Okay, sir.
This is class in itself and class for itself. Huh? See, they're asking about transformation of class in itself to class for itself. Then why you're writing in bullet points? You need to explain what is class in itself and then how it is getting transformed to class for itself, and then talk about what is true consciousness and what is false consciousness, even in class for itself, where it can be false consciousness, and everything has to be mentioned properly. So in this way, you cannot do that. There is a lot of limitation, but the points which you have mentioned is correct. Okay, that is what I'm saying. If you see something in a guide, don't try to reproduce the same.
Yes, sir.
The guides are actually they're trying to help you to put the content in an organized way. So take that content and write it in your own way. This is something everybody is going to write in this 2 columns, which is not making the examiner understand what you mean to say. Actually, it is not the answer for the question. If the question is class in itself and class for itself 10 marker, then you do the same thing. They are
अगर ये
asking
10
you,
मार्क का हुआ,
it is getting transformed.
ओके सर, मतलब डिफरेंस में अगर 10 मार्क का हुआ तो ऐसा मतलब सेपरेट कॉलम्स?
No, not separate. See, these columns and all you can do. The questions like sociology versus economics, sociology versus
ओके सर, ओके
sociology
ओके,
versus anthropology. Those kind of questions you can do, but not these. These are something which has to be written in paragraph. How
Okay,
class
sir.
in itself is transforming to class for itself. They're not asking you the difference between class in itself and class for itself.
Okay, sir.
You have to mention about what is true consciousness, false consciousness, and everything has to be there in your answer. Consciousness is mentioned, but what consciousness? He's specifically talking about that. Just because the content is there, and I don't want to disappoint you, I've given this 5 mark. Otherwise, this is a problem. Content is there, but the way you maybe you're writing it for the first time, right?
Yes, sir.
And this is going to be your first mains?
No, sir. Second mains.
Yeah, last year also you gave the mains?
2019, sir.
Oh, 90. Last year you didn't clear the prelims?
No, sir. CSET में रह गया था.
This is not something which is expected from a second.
सर अगर मैं मतलब अभी से इम्प्रूव करूं, मतलब ठीक से हर रोज आंसर राइटिंग या रिवीजन करके 280 तक तो पहुंच सकूंगा क्या सर?
We have to do it.
Yes, sir. वही.
How about your ethics? Are you good in that?
Yes, sir. एथिक्स में अभी मतलब GS1 का विजन है, इसका मार्क्स है, उसमें मैं 7th रैंक मिला है उसमें मुझे.
Ignore the rank. What is your score?
Oh, 110, sir.
Essay, what you're getting?
सर उसमें मैंने पूरा पैराग्राफ फॉर्म में लिखा, वहां पे मुझे अच्छा रिव्यू मिला.
How can you write in bullet points?
सर वहां पे उन्होंने कहा कि यू आर राइटिंग इन पैराग्राफ फॉर्म, इट्स गुड करके लिखा. मेरा पैराग्राफ अच्छा है, मुझे दोस्त ने कहा कि सोशियोलॉजी में बुलेट्स ट्राई कर, इसलिए मैंने फोर्सफुली किया, वो गलत हो गया बहुत.
Don't do that. But you have to identify the questions in which you need to write in bullet points and you need to write in paragraph. Yes. There are questions in which you need to write in bullet points where you get mark, but understand that question and do you have enough and more content in that? That is the first thing that should come to your mind.
Yes, sir. स्पेशली सर जो बड़े हैं उसमें तो मैक्सिमम टाइम अवॉइड ही करना चाहिए बिग आंसर क्वेश्चंस में, 15 मार्कर्स में.
Definitely you should not write in bullet points in
yes,
that.
Sir.
Okay, material, non-material. This is something which you need to read. Nothing can be done in this. Suicide as social fact. You actually here, more than they are interested in knowing about social fact, you need to actually talk about the work on suicide here.
What, sir?
Okay? The work that he did on suicide.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so first you mention about what is social fact and then tell that suicide is a social fact and then how he established suicide is a social fact. For that, you need to tell that there are something in society which are in the form of forces of integration and forces of regulation, which force the people to commit suicide, which are present in the form of some social currents. And that's what I mean by this social facts and everything. These social currents are actually forcing the people to commit suicide. Different societies have different social variables having different social currents and different suicide rate. So that's how he explains suicide as a social fact.
Yes, sir.
And since it is social current, it is independent of individual. It is forcing the individual to commit suicide. So it is having a constraining influence.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you mentioned about this multivariable, single variables and everything, but where is that ultimate reason? The ultimate reason is not here, right? What is that? Forces of integration and forces of regulation. And the 4 types of suicide, even though if you have not mentioned it, it's okay. But talk about the forces and then the social currents, then the social variables and how the rates are changing and everything need to be mentioned here. That's why mark is not there. You should be getting, Abhijith, you should see, the idea is 10 markers, you should be getting 6 to 7. That you should never compromise, 10 marker.
Okay, sir.
20 mark, whatever you're getting, take it and leave. Beyond 10 mark, you should be getting, that's what. If you're getting more than 12, 13 and all, that will be perfect. But
okay, sir.
10 marker, you should never get less than 6. You should be getting 6 to 7. 6 to 7 should be the average you should be getting. 7 mark, if you're getting in that 10 questions itself, 10, not 10, 13 questions, you'll be getting 91. If you're getting 7, if you're getting 6 to 7, that average, if you're getting, then also it is perfect. There are 13 questions. And I would always suggest or recommend students that attempt that 13 questions first and then come to the 20 marker. 20 marker is something which you can write in any way. you will be getting an average mark for sure. 10 markers is where you will be having higher potential to score well. And that makes the difference. 10 marker. People believe that 10 mark, what to get, 20 mark, I have to solve first. No, that's not the case. That's in university and schools, not here.
Okay, sir.
Always jump onto the 10 marker first, because that is very scoring. You have the content, you will not face any problem, and do well on 10 marker. That gives you the confidence also to move further. And whatever you get in 20 marker, just take it. Average 10 mark you will get for sure, if you're prepared. And imagine if you're getting even average 10 mark, there are 6 questions, 9 questions, right? 9 questions and 6 questions. Average 10 mark if you're getting 60. And these 13 questions, if you're getting 7 mark, you should be getting 7 mark, 90. That itself is 150.
सर मेरा कंटेंट मतलब मुझे नॉलेज तो ठीक ठाक है ना सर?
Knowledge is okay, not complete, but okay. But the way you present things is what need to be somewhat managed. But write some more.
Presentation खराब है मेरा सर, मैं मानता हूँ.
Not खराब, but you can do it. Obviously, you can improve it. You're trying different things, right? Because you told me you have given a mains and some friend told you to put it in this way. So you're trying something. That is why it is. Try. Ultimately, we need to understand what is the demand of the question and how we need to write in the situation.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes you need to write in bullet points, and it's not that something is fixed like this. There are situations where you need to write in bullet points. Maybe in this question, sacred, profane, where you have enough and more content, you can try attempting in bullet point. But that's not here. See, what should be written, you have not written, and what should not be written, what is not required, you have written here. Can you see here? My mouse point. Can you see here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What you have written here, this is the second part of the definition, which is talking about the function. But the first part of the definition is where he's actually talking about sacred and sacred. Where is that first part? What is the definition of religion? Religion is a unified system of belief and practices related to sacred. So you have introduced sacred. Then he's saying that is to say things set apart and considered forbidden. Then you have explained what is sacred in the definition itself. You actually don't want this part. This is the second part of the definition, which is talking about the function, which is integration. You got my point. And then comes to sacred, and then talk about all these things what you have mentioned, and then talk about profane. Okay.
ओके सर. और सर आंसर का स्टार्ट थिंकर और उसके बुक से करना चाहिए या रिक्वायर्ड नहीं हो?
In this case, you have to write. If you write in book with this book name, right? Those elementary forms of religious life. Sir. So how you'll be starting? You'll be starting. Durkheim gave the concept of sacred and profane in his theory of religion in the book Elementary Form of Religious Life. He defined religion
as thinkers, sir.
Baki thinkers, whatever you know. Write it. If you don't know, just ignore it. No problem. Right? Okay, because we have hardly 6 thinkers and 6 to 7 books is what you need to remember. Nothing more.
Yes, sir.
And hardly few definition also. So just do it anyway. And those are your second time mains. So you can't take chances anymore.
Yes, sir.
Functional paradigm, you just miss something. First is standard phenomena, then explain the context, then post factum analysis, then all these things is fine. But explain, okay, further. Otherwise, it's okay. Anticipatory socialization, okay. But talk about the reference group here, okay, and the positive reference group, negative reference group. Okay, and the examples for positive reference group and negative reference group, and trying to becoming one among them. That is what anticipatory socialization, and then the functions of that and the dysfunction, I think you have mentioned here, or the function also. Marginal mania. Anomy and deviance actually is same, okay? Not anomy leads to deviance. Anomy is a state of normlessness. When you're violating the norms, that is when you'll be called as deviant. Conformist, not just conform, conformist. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Rather than writing like this example here, you write the examples and then explain it properly here, like a student and a scientist. Okay. But when you're explaining the scientist, you need to remember, ultimately they are asking you one question from Merton, but you should be in a position to tell whatever you have learned in Merton, whatever concepts that he have taught, right? Even in this theory, using this theory, you can talk about dysfunction, you can talk about manifest and latent function, intended and unintended consequences and everything. A scientist intend to benefit society. So manifestly, he want to do something good for society. But in terms of unintended consequences, he become a deviant. His act becoming anomy because he's not sticking to the means. So this is functional. A thief or a robber, this is dysfunctional. So say that this is functional and this is dysfunctional. Similarly, red tapism. Here you can talk about a teacher or a bureaucrat who manifestly believe that he is a conformist. But in terms of unintended consequences, is a ritualist or a anomy, deviant. You got my point? So what we are introducing is, we are saying that this is dysfunctional for society and this is unintended consequences. Manifestly, this should be the outcome, but latent, this is what actually happening. Okay?
Okay, sir. सर तो मतलब ये पैराग्राफ के नीचे थोड़ा बहुत एक्सप्लेनेशन देना चाहिए.
I mean, you need to explain what is this, otherwise nothing. Do I need to decode everything what is there in your mind?
Okay, sir. एक second.
Rebel, you write it completely rebellion. And there is one example, revolutionary. This is negative. You write positive example also. Okay, what is the positive example? Social reformers.
Social reformer. Yes,
that also you write. One is negative, one is positive. One is functional, one is dysfunctional. So how many points I have given you here to write below the column?
Yes, sir.
See, you will not be writing, but others will be writing this.
Sir, कोई chance नहीं है फिर मेरा sir.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just see, if I'm using this language, it's not that we have enough time. That's why I'm saying in this way. Don't worry about that, okay? We have enough time, no? So don't worry about that.
Yes, sir.
I'm just saying this is how it should be done. So when I use this way, then you'll not forget it also.
Yes, sir.
And this is my attitude normally. I don't speak like...
Okay, it's fine, sir. No problem.
That's okay. Symbolic interactionism and indispensability. But he's talking about indispensability, okay? But you mention in which context he's talking about this. So Merton analyzed the previous functionalist and he have identified certain problems and he have proposed some solutions and he have given everything in terms of postulates and he gave 3 postulates. Out of that, one is functional indispensability. Postulate of functional indispensability. And then talk about functional indispensability. Explain what is indispensability and Malinowski's approach is related to that. Okay?
Yes, sir.
And then give examples for indispensable function like family. I think that is mentioned here. But that's okay. 6 is good. This is alienation, right? Yes. Alienation, these questions where you need to score really good. This is okay. You just mentioned what is alienation and types of alienation only.
Sir,
more emotions. When it comes to marks, you can actually see the question is basically asking you to put add some emotion. The worker is deprived. No, not here, right? Where I think the worker is reduced to mere labor and he mortifies his body, ruins his mind. Is that the question? No, right?
No. Worker is deprived.
Work in capitalism reduced to mere labor and the individual does not develop freely his physical and mental energy, but mortifies his body and ruins his mind. So that need to be, you can add some emotion to this, right? So after explaining alienation, tell how he mortifies his body and ruins his mind, how he is working in capitalism and how he is ruins his mind. This is point which you can explain further. Alienation from self. And you can also talk about de-alienation, the concept which is given by Marx. Religion, integration. That role of integration is what you need to mention. This is doctrine of predestination, okay? Notion of calling and doctrine of predestination. Write it completely. This worldly asceticism.
Okay, sir.
Doctrine of predestination, workers worship. Okay. Yeah, it is a comparison. It's a good comparison. Comparatively good.
Okay, sir.
Now, the question is about, this is the main problem in all your answers. Specificity, diffuseness. You're jumping onto that. Previously, what was that? Merton, something which we are discussing, indispensability. You're jumping onto that. But yes, you don't have enough content to write that alone. Understand that
Yes,
first.
sir.
Once you know that this is your weakness, so what you need to do, who's talking about this? In which context is talking about this? So indispensability, what I told you, Merton, that functional approach, then he
Yes, sir.
developed a postulate. In that you bring about this. Now specificity, diffuseness. Parson talking about social action, talking about the dilemma with respect to the choice of motivational and value orientation because of the role expectation is not defined very clearly. And he gave different dilemmas in terms of some pattern variables. One of that is specificity, diffuseness. If you want, you can mention 5 and then write specificity, diffuseness.
यूपीएससी में भी सर सेम क्वेश्चन आते हैं जिसमें एक्चुअली डेटा बहुत कम होता है.
Here the data is not there. You have no content here. And
Yes.
then tell that these are not extremes. These are to be understood in terms of continuum, traditional and modern society. It all depends on value and motivational orientation. There is no extremes like traditional and modern. There is any society will stand in between. So there is no society which is completely specific. There is no society which is completely diffused also. There is no society which is completely traditional. There are no society which is completely modern. Okay. It's okay. We can do it better later.
आपने इस पेपर में मतलब हाईएस्ट मार्क्स किसको दिए थे, मतलब कितने?
No, highest mark, you just don't worry about that. Highest marks, see, there are some people who are very strong in thinkers. There are people, see, imagine if people like me who's writing, my strong area also thinker, right? So there are some people who are very good in thinkers. So just don't worry about that.
मैंने क्या सोचा सर, आपने 120 दिए, मतलब रियल एग्जाम में मैं 140 तक चला जाऊंगा, ऐसा मेरा सोच.
140 more than, no. It see, actually, if you see some of the questions, I've given you good mark.
Yes, sir. Okay, मतलब मेरा
Actually, even I told you later also, 10 mark, you should not be getting 10 mark in some of the question. But I don't want to disappoint you, and that's the reason why.
मुझे लगा कि सर आपने स्ट्रिक्ट किया होगा, इसलिए मैं खुश था.
No, it's not strict. I actually don't want to demotivate at this level. So, but when I tell you, I just told it, okay? But we need to definitely improve.
Sir, content-wise, improve करूंगा sir.
Content-wise, okay. But again, still you need to improve on the content also. But whatever content you have, even that also you're not able to present. That's a
नहीं, ये presentation बहुत गलत किया मैं.
It's not about presentation. It is about convincingly you need to present.
Yes, sir.
There is a difference.
Paragraph में next paper जो लिखूंगा, paragraph में लिखूंगा.
You can use both. It's up to you, but depends on the question, and you need to. Some of the question I've told you, right? You are exposing yourself when you're coming to the points. Never do that. Why we need to put ourselves in trouble?
Yes, sir.
But if you are in paragraph, you can actually manage those questions easily.
Yes, sir. Paragraph में actually हम सब angle लिख सकते हैं.
Manage it, yeah.
बुलेट पॉइंट में प्रेशर आ जाता है कि मतलब ये रिमेम्बर करना है, वो करना है, ऐसा लाइन में लिखना है. पैराग्राफ में वी कैन गो विद द फ्लो.
एनीथिंग एल्स यू वांट टू नो?
सर इतना ही था. और कौन सा? इतना ही सर. अभी अगले टेस्ट को अच्छे से प्रिपेयर करता हूँ सर.
डू दैट. ओके.
और सर इंडेक्स लेकर मैं काम करता हूँ सर. जितने भी करंट अफेयर्स के रिलेट कर सकता हूँ इंडेक्स को, सोशियोलॉजी के, उतना करता हूँ सर.
Maximum you try to cover, but specifically they won't ask you from current affair. Everything will be
नहीं एग्जाम्पल सर. एग्जाम्पल्स के लिए करंट अफेयर्स के इंडेक्स लेकर बैठता हूँ और करंट अफेयर्स के रिलेटेड निकालता हूँ सर. थैंक यू सो मच सर.
See you.
ओके सर.